I am so unbelievably excited for this episode today that I'm almost like buzzing inside because this is the very first long form episode that we've ever done on this podcast. You guys know we typically do episodes every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but this one is different. It's the first of hopefully what are more to come. And we are going to interview someone in the type 1 diabetes space that I cannot wait for you to learn from. This is your best T1D year. Okay, so before we actually get Ginger in here and do all this, I just figured I would give you some context. Because I'm not just a fan, but Ginger has helped me. She's helped me with the first book that I ever wrote. And she has been a reliable, trusted voice in this type 1 diabetes space for a long time. She is a powerhouse. Ginger Vieira has broken 14 powerlifting records in her 20s to become one of the clearest, most compassionate educators around blood sugar and movement and type 1 diabetes and navigating all of it. She has helped thousands of people. She's written so many books. Odds are, if you've read an article in the type 1 diabetes space around blood sugar and how to navigate it, Ginger wrote it. She's written things about pregnancy with type 1 diabetes, how to stop overcorrecting or overtreating your lows. And the one that is most practical is a book that really helped shape my thinking around exercise. It's called Exercise and T1D. So today we're going to go deep. We're going to talk about adrenaline spikes. We're going to talk about mindset shifts. We're going to talk about emotional moments and some real world wins that you can actually try this week. So let's get into it. Ginger, I would consider you an all-star guest. This is crazy though, because you're not just an all-star guest. I feel like you have receipts from so much in the type 1 diabetes space. And I'm so thrilled that you're here. This is the first one, Ginger. We can't mess this up because nobody knows.
It's an honor.
Is there going to be more? I don't know. We don't know. We're not sure.
Right.
All right.
Just quit after this.
Yeah. Hey, on top, we'll quit on top. So I'm not going to lie. It's hard to find something that you haven't done. So I'm gonna rapid fire through the list, right? This is where I brag about you, and you at your cheeks get red. Okay. So you're an author. You are a record-setting power lifter. You are a mom. You're a wife. You're a fibromyalgia advocate. The list really you're a diabetes nerd, obviously, right? See what I did there? But like, what is something that is not on the LinkedIn what's not on Wikipedia that people should know about you right now? Because they know everything. They know you're an incredible force of nature in the type 1 diabetes space. What's something they don't know?
I'm hoping to buy a paddle board this afternoon so that I can be a paddle boarder, because I did it once for the first time ever last weekend and I loved it so much. And my little 8-pound dog came with me and he sat between my feet. And it was just the most fun ever. It was so mellow, but it was like such a good workout at the same time, but so peaceful.
It's like core, right? It's because, I mean, that can't be
core,
easy.
It's legs, it's arms, but it's slow and steady. Okay. You know what I mean? It was just so fun. And obviously you're on a lake in Vermont, so it's like extra peaceful and beautiful.
I was going to say, yeah, that seems pretty peaceful. Do you put one of those life vests on the dog?
I didn't. This was very impromptu. I didn't know that we were going on a paddleboard. So yeah, he actually like swam 40 yards out to me because he was like, oh my gosh, my mom's in the middle of the lake. Yeah. And he's never swam before. And he just did it like a champ and came right up to the paddleboard and got on with me. Oh, so I need to get a paddleboard this afternoon and a vest for the canine.
All right. Yeah. By the time this airs in a week or so, you will be on a paddleboard that you own.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Exactly.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
That's what I'm most excited about right now. Yep.
I think we can wrap this podcast up. I think
we're done.
Covered everything, right?
But you know what? Wait, speaking of diabetes though, I'm like, okay, I need a fanny pack. I need something waterproof.
Yep.
I don't plan to fall in, but I might. I'd like to know my blood sugar when I'm out in the middle of the lake. There's no way I'm going to be comfortable. If I want to go out for an hour-long paddle, there's no way I'm going to leave my phone in my car.
No chance. So what do you do?
So I need
giant
to,
Ziploc?
I know. I think so. I think my fanny pack with a giant Ziploc.
I mean, it might have to come down to that.
Yeah, that is my first plan.
Okay. All right.
And glucose,
maybe
obviously.
Some backup supplies on the dog with a Ziploc. So there's like backup supplies. Okay.
Yes. a couple dog cookies as well. He might get hungry.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, got to take care of him too. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember the very first time you and I messaged each other on Instagram?
No.
Oh, this is okay. So I took a screenshot of this. This is bad.
Oh my gosh.
You're gonna laugh. So this is February of 23, right? I've been following you for years leading up to that. February 23. Here's what I said. I'm going to read this. Okay. This is my message to you. Ginger. Now, this is very kind. I've been such a fan of your writing, your articles and your videos for so long. And I'm ashamed to say I've never reached out to you and say you're having such a fantastic impact on so many people. Your response, you ready for this? This is your Ginger Vieira response. Neil, is that your first name? It isn't on your profile. Ha ha. Oh my gosh. That is Ginger's relationship and I. This is how it all started, and it hasn't changed once since then.
I hope you added your name to your profile after that.
Oh my gosh. I honestly think I did. You're like, is that your name? I've been calling you the forever. I thought Beatties was your last name.
The Beatties.
The Beatties.
It's a pet peeve of mine when people don't put their names on their websites or their profiles, because the whole thing will be like, I am yada, 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 and on the website, and nowhere does it say their first name.
Right. You're like, well, whatever. I'm not. There are a lot of people I didn't know what their name was. I'm like, I only know you by your handle. And then it's awkward because you go up to them at a conference or a meetup or whatever, and you call them their handle because I don't know what to call you. They're like, bro, I got a name. Like, well, whatever, man. Put your name on that joker. What are you doing? All right.
I hope I said something nice after that. But...
Yeah. It was after that, but just the first out of the gate, which, and most people don't know, is you helped me so much on my first book. I couldn't have done it without you.
Oh,
but you were so unfiltered, like honest with me, and it's exactly what I needed. But that's just you. You are your voice in the writing space has been fantastic, but I think people just don't realize how much work and time and energy goes into all that you do with all those books and everything like that. So then when it was my time, I'm like, I'm going to try and write one. Ginger, would you help me? You're like, yeah. Let's first off correct this terrible habit you have of putting ellipsis 3 dots in every sentence you have in the book. It was terrible. You didn't break me of that habit entirely. It was pretty close.
That's funny. Yes.
All right. Ginger, we're talking about exercise. We're talking about exercise and movement with type 1 diabetes. So the whole Your Best T1D year, I'm trying to take 1 month at a time. And this month, I just had so many people ask questions about like, how do I do this? How I always go low, whatever. But you literally wrote the book on how to exercise with type 1, right? That is the name of your book. I want to start off with something because most people may not know this. Let's start with powerlifting. Okay. You have like 14 records for powerlifting that you got. I want to say it's in your 20s. Where did that like spark? Where did that come from? And then how does that transition over to the chaos of type 1 diabetes? Tell me about that.
Yeah. I mean, in a nutshell, I did not take care of myself my freshman year of college. And then my sophomore year was a little better because I transferred to a college. And by not take care of myself, I mean, my freshman year, I just remember making a lot of Rice Krispie treats with my roommate. I gained totally the freshman 15. We spent our free time at the mall. I wasted a lot of money that I'd earned in high school at the Providence Mall.
Yeah,
and by the end,
in Claire's, got it. Okay.
Yes. And at some point, my sophomore or junior year, I took the whole summer, and while working, of course, but I walked every day. I started going to power yoga, and I started teaching myself how to lift weights at the local gym. And then I went back to my college town when school started and was like, I want to do more than what I've taught myself. And I hired a personal trainer, And I ended up just getting fell in love with the whole fitness world that was at this gym. And I made like friends who are now my best friends today there. Like that is still my community. It's not at that gym anymore, but the women I met there are like 3 of my best friends are people I met at that gym, you know?
That's
and,
awesome. Okay.
Yeah. And so I started just learning how to lift weights with my powerlifting coach. He was just a trainer to me at the time. Right.
Okay.
But I started getting really strong really quickly. I've always loved Arnold Schwarzenegger since I was like 5. I've been watching Predator and Terminator.
Right. He's so easy to love.
What little girl doesn't love? Yeah, he's so easy to love. I know there's something about him I just love it still today.
The chop. Okay, Arnold, I will.
Yes.
I'll go.
Yeah, whatever you say, Arnold. And I got really strong really quickly. Somebody was watching me bench press and said, "You should talk to my boyfriend about powerlifting," because I could bench press my body weight pretty quickly after I started training, which is rare for women. And so powerlifting is bench press, deadlift, squat. And at my first competition, let me tell you, before that, I was having trouble with, this is before CGMs existed. And I was having trouble with, I was stress eating. So I was eating too much sometimes, like at the end of the night, if I was having anxiety or something. I didn't know that's what it was at the time. But, and I would wake up with really high blood sugars. And I didn't know why powerlifting was spiking my blood sugar, or why this or that was causing it to drop. And there was no, this is, right?
Yeah.
This is 2004. The internet was honestly, the type 1 diabetes community did not exist yet. People were just starting to blog. And so I went to the endo that I had to go to. I had no insurance. I was paying out of pocket for this. My first adult endo visit, I delayed getting an adult endo as long as possible. I asked that endo for help and he laughed at me. I said, "I'm going to compete in 6 months at my first competition." He literally laughed at me, didn't help me at all. I left the appointment in tears, never went back. Honestly, that really broke my trust in all endos, of course, after that.
That's where it started. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. And then I borrowed my friend's exercise physiology medical textbook, who was in med school. And my trainer coach guy was really smart. He could have been a doctor if he wanted. And he does other stuff. Now he's like a renowned bodybuilding coach. But I put 2 and 2 together and tried to figure out as much as I could on my own, and realized in the process that there was a lot in there, whether you're just going for a walk or powerlifting, that we all need to know.
Right. Yeah.
And that made me mad. And when I get mad, then I do something about it.
So your endo ticked you off, made you mad. And then you learned stuff in the book, kind of made you mad. There's one thing I know about Ginger, like you're not going to stop. No one's stopping you. Like they really should have figured out how to do it with you, because that actually probably fueled you, right? Like you're like, okay, you think this is going to slow me down. You just sped me up. Is probably what happened.
My father said to me when I was in high school, he said, "Yeah, when it comes to gin, you better get on board or get out of the way."
If that's not your Instagram,
and I've heard this a few different.
I don't know.
Yeah, my professor at Champlain College said to me once. I'm just realizing as you said that this might be a theme. My professor said to me, "Yeah, sometimes there's just a ginger-shaped hole in the wall." So I guess this is a thing that I should embrace or warn people about.
Did fibromyalgia have anything to do with sidelining that lifting?
It was completely fibromyalgia. So I think the stress of all that intense competition. I was doing Russian deadlift programs. I was training 4 days a week with really heavy weights, doing sled drags with my body weight on it, like sled sprints. I was then also training my own clients. I became a personal trainer, training my own clients 5 days a week, teaching power yoga 7 days a week. Like, I think because my body is clearly prone to autoimmune disease, I have a few that the stress triggered this. And they don't know if fibro is autoimmune or not.
Really?
It seems there's lots of theories. Nobody knows anything about fibromyalgia.
Nobody knows anything.
You just have to figure it out for yourself. But after that, I just walked my dogs for a couple of years and then tried to dabble in things and rebuild my tolerance for exercise. So now I can do some fun exercise, but you wouldn't know it if you were watching me, but I have like very firm limitations where I'm like, I'm doing, when it comes to weightlifting in particular, I'm doing exactly how much I know I can do without triggering extreme fatigue later in the day.
Well, it's interesting because you put those really tight restrictions on yourself with exercise. What is interesting is what I told you last year, around March of last year, hey, I'm starting to train for the New York City Marathon in November. You said, and I don't have it in quotes anywhere, but I think it was on a phone call. And you said, well, you're really dumb. You shouldn't do that. Why are you doing that? Don't do that to yourself. No one should do that.
Is that what I said?
It was really, but now I think
that's not very nice.
You know, because you were like, that's going to be so hard on your body. Because you run every day.
I jog.
Yeah, okay. But what you said is, you said, there is a way you can do that is not as hard on your body. Are you going to do this long term? I said, no, I think I want to run for that and then figure out, how do I sustain this? Because no one could be training for a marathon for the rest of their life. It's just too difficult.
Very few people. Yeah.
Right. Well, and I'm not one of those for sure. But you learned how to figure out what works for your body, what doesn't absolutely jack up type 1 for you and isn't harmful for you. So
yeah, and I mean, I think also, and I come from when I said that to you, I know I come from a place of having done extreme sports, which running a marathon is, right? Yep. And paying the price for it, honestly, for the rest of my life. Like, I've got a permanent injury in my shoulder. I had just had injections, PRP injections, into 2 partial tears in my hip that I think I got over 10 years ago while doing powerlifting. But because I'm a smiley little woman, I was dismissed and ignored until they became, and I've just been living with constant pain, like low level pain in my hip for probably 12 years. And I just got them treated because I was like, this really hurts now. Help me. Yeah.
Smiley
so
little
that's
woman.
Where I was speaking from. Hey.
Okay.
Yeah, it's real.
At some point you're like, I am not smiling anymore. Well, I think you probably learned how to advocate for yourself in the middle of like, I can do these things. I can't do these things, not because I'm not able, but because they're hurting me. So I think that's really good. There are a lot of people that look at exercise with type 1 and think that you have to do these massive extreme things. Somehow, I don't know how you did it, but a lot of people will look at you and think, okay, Ginger has it figured out. I'm just to be honest with you. Now, take us back though to the moment that you started to change up what you do on a daily basis. Because I know you have figured out activities that your body responds well to, and they work well with what you want to eat, when you want to eat it. Walk us through that. How did you decide what works best for you? Because sorry, this is the longest question in the history of questions and human speech. But you also, you talked about the experimenting of it. You say that in your book, like you treat the exercise part as an experiment. So take us through it, like what's going through your head? How did you come up with these things work well for me?
Yeah. I mean, one is what brings you joy. Do the type of exercise you enjoy. I do not want to swim in a pool. I do not want to smell like chlorine all freaking day. Don't force yourself to do the things you don't, but try them all. I did try. I did. When I knew I couldn't powerlift anymore, I tried every physical activity to see one, what hurt, what didn't hurt, and what I liked or hated. Right. And that's really, there's only, it's either, those are the 2 options for me.
Both sides of that.
There's my mother told me I'm lukewarm about nothing. So
there is a pattern here, Ginger. I'm figuring this out.
There is, yes, very clear. But I had to rebuild my body's tolerance for the things I wanted to do. So like jumping rope, I can jump rope 40 minutes every day today, but I started with 5 minutes. And I literally 5 minutes a day, and I could barely walk the next day. And because your calves are not used to that, I'm like literally limping down the stairs. But I knew from weightlifting that the best thing for a sore muscle is to just keep moving.
Keep working it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just jumped rope again for 5 minutes, and I kept doing that until I felt safe increasing it. The biggest thing for me is fun intensity triggers deep exhaustion, like within hours of the workout. And I don't have time to take naps every day. And even when I wake up from that exhaustion, I'm still not fully, like I'm just like waiting till I can get my kids fed and in bed, and then I can go back to bed. Like I'm not recovered after the nap. You know what I mean? It takes like 15 hours of sleep for me to reset whatever happened. Chronic fatigue is part of fibro. Okay. So, so then I had to do the same thing with weights, 5-pound dumbbells that felt like nothing. I could bench 190. You know what I mean? Like right now, I know I could bench my body weight, but I cannot do the training that gets me there because it just is painful and kills my energy. It hurts. Yeah. Okay. So I have to embrace 12-pound dumbbells, even though I know I could do twice that. You know? So anyway, so when it comes to diabetes, though, when you have kids or you don't have kids, like I've had to adapt like anybody else to every different schedule of life. When I was working at the gym, I walked every morning fasted with my best friend. Fasted meaning I haven't eaten breakfast. That's where I learned the power of fasted exercise, which I teach in that book extensively. Yep. And then I would be training clients, and then at 4 p.m. was my training session, right? And so I had to make sure my blood sugar was ready for that. Again, CGMs weren't a thing yet. And then I would train from 4 to 5, and then I usually had a client right at 5. And I knew like, okay, if I don't eat something and take insulin right at 5 before I train that client, my blood sugar is going to spike 100 points after a powerlifting session because your muscles are like, help me, right? And you're gonna produce your own sugar if you don't eat something. And if I didn't have time to eat, I knew I had to take a unit of insulin anyway to cover the spike.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm answering exactly what you want, but you are, that's 100%. The beginning. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's the experiment side of it is you had to learn what works and what doesn't work. And the hard part is, like you talk about this a lot in your book, but what people, they just want a straight answer. Like, tell me what will work for me. And there is nothing.
No, you have to put in some work.
Could say, this does this. Because it doesn't always work like that. And I'll be honest with you, that was super frustrating to me at the beginning of how am I going to be able to exercise? So I had to back it off and say, I'm going to do some very small sample size experiments. Like I'm going to go run for 15 minutes. And go slow and see what that does. I'm going to try it fasted. I'm going to try so all of that to say then a year or two later, like I just went this morning, fasted run. I started running at 5:30, ran a little over 6 miles. Fasted is like, okay, what wizardry is this? Like, tell me who your witch is that told you how to do this. Cause that's like, what in the world is that?
How does that work? Yeah. How's it possible?
But okay, I'll throw this all out there. When I was training for that marathon last year, if I didn't start by putting 45 grams of carbs in my body an hour beforehand to go out and then run, I would drop, which was crazy and didn't make any sense. And then I had to fuel every 30 minutes. I had to take 25 grams of fast acting carbs to keep that up. But I'm running in zone 4 and maybe even higher. And it's hurting my body and all that kind of stuff. Now I'll go out and try. I don't know. We'll get into what zones are. Now I try and go out. I'm going to run in zone 2, maybe 3. I am jogging. I am not trying to break any land speed records because I know that if my heart rate goes too high, it will signal my liver to all of a sudden dump all this stored glycogen and I'm hosed. So watching some of those things didn't happen overnight. It literally took me months of little tiny adjustments, write down what it was. Okay. How would you recommend people do that? Because that is frustrating. People they see this stuff online, all this influencer fitness garbage. Don't get me started on that. The ads that I get, bro, we could have your body changed in 30 days. We start tomorrow. Let's get a beach body. I'm like, you freaking leave me alone. That stuff doesn't work. It's not practical, especially with type 1. How do you recommend someone does this? Like, what is your if you're
literally Yeah, if you're not active yet and you want to be active, start with a 30-minute walk. Write down when the walk is, how much basal you have on board, how much bolus you have on board, when your last bolus for a meal or correction was, how long you're going to walk, we said 30 minutes, and your blood sugars, and see what happens. And that's the simplest experiment, because guess what? If your blood sugar goes high, which would be strange for a 30-minute walk, it's not anaerobic, but then that tells you might need a bolus for that type of exercise. If your blood sugar goes low, guess what? You have too much insulin on board. So that's a big piece of information. There's a lot you can do with that. And if you go high because you thought, well, I'm going to eat lunch first, and then I'm going to cut my bolus in half for my lunch, and I'm do my 30-minute walk, and you're high, well, guess what? You didn't need a 50% reduction in your meal bolus. You only needed 25% maybe. So your next experiment, take what you learned, create the same experiment if you can, right? And that's not easy for everybody. I have a type A personality to that extent. I like, how much of this can I control, Right. And that's, so today, for example, I wake up, I walk my dogs about 2 miles fasted. If I wake up high, I take a smidge, like a drop of insulin, right? And I have my basal insulin dose already fine-tuned to be as low as possible, so that if I did start going low during fasted walks, I'd know I have too much basal on board.
Right.
So I walk my dogs 2 miles and I jump rope 40 minutes. And then I don't even eat breakfast. I intermittent fast. So I don't usually eat till 1 or 2 in the afternoon. So I usually need a bolus of insulin at 8:30 just to deal with my liver being like, this woman hasn't eaten breakfast yet. We need some fuel, right?
Yeah.
And ketones are not enough. And so then I'm taking that bolus and I'm watching for that, because sometimes it doesn't happen, like the spike from fasting.
Yeah.
Every now and then it doesn't happen. So I'm just watching very carefully to start to see things creep up from 100 to suddenly 126. I'm like, okay, it's happening, and then I plan my second dog walk for before lunch, because if I can, because it's another fasted walk where I don't have to worry about going low.
Yeah. It's all about how much insulin we have on board before. You literally said it. It's before, during, and after. We have to watch those 3 things and adjust from there. So let's explain this. You said it actually just briefly in there. So weightlifting, or really anaerobic exercise, sprinting, CrossFit, those types of things, they heavy lifting give those adrenaline spikes. And some cortisol too, right? Our liver.
And it's not just adrenaline, because like I had a type 2 friend who actually was having spikes during her jogs, and she thought she was just running at the pace she was supposed to be running at. But I said, and her blood sugar was spiking 100 points. I said, how hard are you working? And it was what you mentioned earlier. She was working she's like, I'm working really hard. I'm pushing really hard. Yep. And she wasn't on insulin. So there wasn't a lot she could do to manage those spikes. And I said, take it down a notch. You don't need to kill yourself on your run for it to be worth it. Yeah. Take it down to a jog.
Yeah.
And her spikes stopped happening. And that's not always adrenaline. It's also just glucogenesis. Your muscles need sugar. So your muscles are converting lactic acid into glucose to cycle them back to the muscles to perform. And if she's jogging in her driveway, it's unlikely she's having an adrenaline rush. Like if you really experience an adrenaline spike to your blood sugar, it hits and it lasts for hours.
Yeah.
So it's
that's different. That's more heart rate and your body saying you're exerting too much energy. We're going to dump a lot of extra glucose in there for what you're doing. But if you do back that off, our heart rate is a bit of an indicator of what's going to happen. Okay, so explain the difference. Explain the difference between.
Well, the reason, when your heart rate is low enough,
and the anaerobic,
when your heart rate is like below 130, maybe 140, your body can use the sugar in your bloodstream for fuel. That's aerobic activity, right? And then once you start getting higher, your body is like, I can't keep up with this. I can't use the sugar in the fuel. You can't use the sugar in your blood for fuel. I got to turn the lactic acid you're producing into fuel and cycle it back to your muscles. And if you don't make extra insulin to go with that, you're going to spike, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really that kind of simple. And it can be at the end of a jog too. Like sometimes at the end of one of my shorter jogging loops, I'll be like, man, that was short. You're so lazy. And I'll sprint the last few blocks. And then that will spike my blood sugar. As soon as I get home, I'll start rising.
Yeah. Your body's like, oh, really? I'll show you who's in charge here. You're not the boss of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So confirm this, like, strength training can actually raise our blood sugar because that liver will dump some of that glucose in there. Why is it that the insulin that we have on board beforehand when it comes to lifting weights versus a walk or a light jog have to be adjusted differently? Like how much insulin we have pre-exercise? Explain why that's important.
In jogging versus weightlifting?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, you can go low if you have too much insulin on board before you're lifting weights, right? It's still very possible. And a lot of people's basal insulin doses are not accurate. And it takes a lot of time to go look at that and poke around and make little adjustments. And that's not easy. I don't say that lightly.
You mean 3 times a year seeing your doctor to briefly change a basal rate is not enough?
They're just guessing. Yeah, right.
They're literally doing that. They're like, hey, tell me what happened 3 Thursdays ago. Bro, I don't know what happened this Thursday.
Yeah.
I need more help than that. It's just they got one hand tied behind their back. But you're right. Go on. The basals
it's
are
not their fault, but you have to learn how to do some of that yourself. Otherwise, you'll always struggle. Yeah. And there's books to help you learn how to do that, by the way. There's like a whole bunch. But
there are.
Yeah. Yes. And so when you're lifting weights, you're producing lactic acid. You're going to see a blood sugar spike. So a little insulin on board before lifting weights can help you prevent that spike. If you are jogging and you have insulin on board, most likely that extra insulin is going to drive your blood sugar down because your body is already taking up more glucose. Your cells are like for energy. Yep. And now you have the insulin driving that even faster. And that's why the simplest, in my opinion, but this isn't not always practical for everyone, just because it's my favorite way doesn't mean it works for everybody, is fasted cardio. And then I do exercise in the evening too, and I have to think harder about that, right?
Yeah, there's more variables to it in the evening because the effects of that exercise will last longer into the night while we sleep, but also what food do we have in us? What insulin do we have in us from before? Yeah, there's a lot more to it. Yeah. Okay. What are 2 game-changing habits that you have seen work for people or you would recommend when it comes to insulin timing, low snacks before or just around exercise in general? Like what are a couple of game changers? Yeah.
Create some consistency if you can. And if that means telling your family like, hey, 7 a.m. is my workout time, I cannot do anything for you during that time. My children learned very quickly. If I'm jumping rope, I am not going to stop and get you a snack. Either learn how to get it yourself or wait. Yeah. Right. And they just know, right? And they've known that for years. They're 8 and 10 and they know that this is a priority. So make yourself a priority, tell your family your schedule and make it happen. And then secondly, I would, at least for that part of the day where you really want your main exercise routine to happen, create consistency around your food choices. So either it's you're skipping breakfast or you're drinking your black coffee with cream, black coffee plus a yogurt, whatever it is you want. Be a little bit obsessed about the consistency. And I learned that from the fitness world, right? Competitive athletes, they eat the exact same thing before their training because they don't want even without diabetes, they don't want variables of how am I going to feel? This is going to upset my stomach on mile 8 of my jog, Be a little obsessed.
A little bit of a pattern. It doesn't mean that we need to go off the deep end with it, but just come up with a routine that you can stick with, because too much of a larger sample size of all these other variables, you can't pick out what is doing it. So if we're consistent with that, we could learn from it and make small adjustments from there.
Yeah, and exactly. Once you've gotten the handle on what happens with that meal and that time of day, then you have all this knowledge you can apply to other times of day.
So I want to thank our sponsor for this podcast, and it's Blue Circle Health. Now, you know that living with type 1 diabetes is already a full-time job, but fighting our care team shouldn't be a part of it. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of us do. Blue Circle Health offers free expert care that is built just for adults with type 1 diabetes. There's no like crazy hoops to jump through. There's no baloney. I haven't said the word baloney in a long time. It's just free clinical care, education, and support. And you can sign up for free at bluecirclehealth.org. And now back to the show. So with diabetes, like burnout kind of mentally, it feels like it's constantly looming in there. How did exercise help you with that? Like not just physically, but mentally?
I mean, every time I'm jumping rope, I think there's a little voice in my head that's like, F you to all the people that think diabetics are sick and tired and lazy and missing their limbs and weak.
Yep.
And I feel like the strongest person in this room right now. Right. And it's just because I know I'm doing something that feels really good for my body. It's not, there's other people who can jump rope for that. I don't even do any tricks because I'll pee my pants. So honestly, that's the truth. People are always like, oh, do you do any of those tricks? I'm like, no, I don't, because I pee my pants every time. So
no, that's probably, it's in all of our best interests. I don't do any tricks.
Nope. I just skip really mellowly. I'm not trying to set any records.
Yeah.
I don't think about anything except the music and moving.
That's amazing.
And you know why? Because, Neil, if I don't get my 30-minute, 40-minute jump rope in the morning, I need twice as much insulin in the afternoon.
Whoa. No kidding. It really does help with that insulin sensitivity side of things. You almost don't attribute those two things together. So I started tracking way back when. I'm not the diabetes nerd, but I'm on your team. And I started tracking like some of the things that I'm doing and didn't realize that correlation between when the activity is ramped up, my insulin needs are lower. Like significantly lower, not just a unit or two. It's significantly lower. It really does help to see that. Across the board.
And it's not, this is my normal, right? So if I stopped for 2 weeks, all my insulin needs would go up. And so that's another thing people struggle with is they start a new routine and they're going low all the time. And it's like, that's because your background insulin just needs to go down a chunk, and that's your new normal. And people are very reluctant to do that because they've been on 25 units for 20 years, but you're establishing a new sensitivity and it happens quick.
It does. I think they're afraid to adjust that background basal. They're like, well, I've been on this for a while. I'm like, yeah, but you're not doing the same things that you used to do. Right. That has to change. You've adapted as a person. That has to adjust. Okay. You want to play true or false here? I got a few questions for you. These are true and false. Okay, these are all about exercise with type 1. Okay. All right. Okay. True or false? Lifting weights makes you insulin resistant.
False.
There are a lot of, there's a stigma out there. There are people thinking like, well, if I lift weights, I'm going to get more insulin resistant. I don't know where that comes from, but there are people that think that. Yep, that's
you
false,
might need more insulin because, like when I was powerlifting, when I was powerlifting, I needed twice as much long acting than I use today. But I needed way more food, right? I needed significantly more calories. I was asking my body for more glucose. So I'm sure my liver was producing more sugar to help build these muscles. The muscles were also just demanding more of everything, right? And I'm sure I also might have had some inflammation going on there because of the type of intensity I was doing.
You were lifting a lot.
Yeah. And I was in pain, right? So I definitely had some inflammation contributing. But also that intensity is cortisol, as you mentioned earlier, growth hormone. Like I was producing more growth hormone. A lower body leg day can increase growth hormone significantly more than an upper body day. There's studies on this. Yeah. So, but you want that if you're lifting weights and you're trying to build muscle or even just get lean, right? Mm-hmm. And for women out there who are afraid to lift weights, I did everything in my power to grow as much muscle as possible. It does not happen by accident. You're not going to look like Schwarzenegger. I tried. Promise you, just do what's comfortable for your body and you'll just feel better. And yeah, that's my rant.
Interesting about lower body versus upper body. Okay. True or false? You have to carb load before every workouut.
False.
Absolutely false.
Unless you're doing extreme cardio endurance, right? Like marathon training, Ironmans. Obviously, that is a whole nother beast, and you should learn with a professional coach who understands that beast, right?
Or call Ginger before you decide to do that activity and ask her if you think she should do it.
Talk you out of it. Yeah.
And she'll tell you, like, man, Neil, you're really, really dumb. Don't do this.
You're going to tear your Achilles tendon. You're going to have permanent issues in your knees. You're going to just don't even bother. Yeah.
Don't think that I wasn't thinking that while I'm running. Like Ginger said, I'm going to tear an Achilles. Okay. True or false? True or false? You should never exercise if you're above 250 milligrams per deciliter.
False. The doctor's guidance says that, right? But it depends on why you're that high.
Yeah.
If you have insulin on board, if you know your infusion site's working well, a little exercise can really help at 250. You know what I mean? But you should stop and ask yourself, like, am I on the edge of ketosis? Am I headed towards ketosis because I don't have enough insulin in my system? Or can a careful, thoughtful bolus plus some exercise? It's probably not a great time to put yourself through a really intense workout, right?
Yeah.
But
it's going to drive it up even higher.
Yeah, like a CrossFit workout when you're already 250, unless you are experienced with how CrossFit affects your blood sugar and you know, like, okay, normally I take a bolus for CrossFit, plus I'm also high. Maybe if you have that knowledge behind you. But
it's tricky. Yep. Okay, true or false? Pre-workout supplements are safe for people with T1D.
Pre-workout supplements are bullshit. Don't bother. It doesn't matter if you have type 1 or not. It's a money grab. Just drink some water.
Ginger, is it going to be weird if I have you on as a guest every single episode? Is that going to be weird? Because this
that
is
would
what
be
I'm here
so
for.
much fun.
I'm here for this. Yeah. Okay.
You don't need creatine.
All right. True or false? Exercising at night is dangerous for people with T1D.
False. You just need to learn what the impact is going to be.
Yeah.
Just like I said, because I do my jump rope in the morning, I know that at 2:00, that jump rope affects how much insulin I need with lunch. If I jog, so on the days I get to do my second workout, I'm not jogging right now because I just got those injections in my hip. We're hoping it heals.
All right.
But but if I go and do my weightlifting workout in the evenings, like I don't do it every day, every other day, maybe. Then I know that I don't need as much insulin for dinner and I eat like right before bed. I like being full when I go to bed. So, and I fasted till 2. So I get my calories between like 2 p.m. and 11, right? And I know that I don't need as much insulin for those later meals because my sensitivity at midnight and 3 a.m.
Right. Yeah.
You got to consider the factors.
Last one, true or false? You should always correct a high blood sugar before working out.
False. It depends on your insulin on board.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. If you got that insulin on board and you get your heart rate up there, that insulin is not going to be more effective than what it would have been, but it will be way faster. And that is going to 100% get into your system faster, deal with it. So yeah, IOB is super, super important. Doesn't mean you have to take a big bolus before, if your blood sugar is high, how much insulin do you have before you start working out? I think is really important. Yeah. Okay.
Critical.
All right. That was good. You got all those right, by the way. The internet is going to check. Fact check all those. Yeah, no, it's close.
ChatGPT agrees with me.
We're going to, all right. We're going to do a lightning round. Okay. This is going to be a 5-minute round. I'm going to set my timer and we're going to answer as many of these questions as you can in 5 minutes. Okay. You are going to be competing against every other guest that I have on after this. So, okay, here we go. Hit and start and go. What is your favorite go-to pre-workout routine?
Don't eat.
Like don't eat nothing. Fasted, right? That's your favorite go-to no matter what.
That is my favorite go-to. Make sure it's been at least 3 to 4 hours since I ate a meal.
I don't think people understand how critical that is. That is going to blow some people's minds. They're going to think they have to eat a bunch of stuff before they exercise in order to exercise.
If you have to feed your insulin, you're taking too much insulin.
Oh my gosh, say that again.
If you have to feed your insulin, you're taking too much insulin. If skipping breakfast causes your blood sugar to plummet, you are taking too much insulin. I get that comment a lot with my daughter. If my daughter skipped breakfast, her blood sugar would drop. Well, then your daughter is taking too much basal insulin.
Right. Yeah, there's too much on board. Number 2, complete this sentence. Movement with type 1 diabetes is blank.
So challenging, but so helpful once you learn how to make it part of your everyday life.
Okay. Helpful how?
The impact it has on every part of your body, even your eyes, the cells in your eyes. The eye doctor says to me when I was powerlifting, is like, I can tell you exercise a lot because of how healthy the blood vessels looked in the back of my eyes.
Whoa. Okay.
Right? That never left me. Yeah.
Yeah,
and then your insulin sensitivity. When I wasn't exercising, when I was 19 and I wasn't taking care of myself, I needed 3 times as much long acting as I take today.
Man. Okay. All right. Lock that one in. All right. What is one thing that you still nerd out on exercise wise?
Oh, I mean, because my hip is feeling better. I don't know if this is nerding out, but I literally can do box jumps again for the first time ever. But I use the steps in my back patio. And when I'm in shape for box jumps, I can do the second step. And I have been able to do the third step. But right now I'm nerding out. I'm telling myself it's okay. You're just going to stay. It hurts if I do the second step right now. It feels like I'm going to hurt myself. And so I'm saying, Ginger, it's okay. Just do the first step. And you're going to obsess about that first step for the next year. And then you're going to hit the second step.
I'm so scared of my shins and your shins during box jumps.
No, I've never had a shin problem.
I'm going to shave my shins off every single time.
That's why you should only choose a step you can really do.
I should be one step Neil. I guarantee it. Should only be one step Neil. All right. So if somebody invented an exercise that guaranteed perfect blood sugars forever, but it was Zumba every day, would you do it?
I could do it as long as I didn't have to try to follow what the instructor was doing. I can't follow. I'd be happy to dance. I just can't follow.
Okay. Yeah. Zumba specific is a hard pass for me. I'm not doing this. I can't do that. What is the weirdest snack you've ever had to eat mid-workout to fix a low?
I can't think of mid-workout, but one of my worst lows was post-workout, and I accidentally took my full bolus. This is pre-CGMs. Took my full bolus for my dinner. 2 hours after a big powerlifting workout, my blood sugar crashed so hard. All I could do was crawl. It was a very tiny apartment. Crawled to the kitchen counter and poured dried oatmeal down my throat and passed out in the carpet for like 30 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
And the oatmeal plus, I'm sure my liver saved me.
Yeah, that combo. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. If you had to describe exercising with type 1 diabetes in a single meme, what would that meme be?
How about like one of those cats where it's like this is an early exercise. Yeah. Those cats that look like they're hungover and it's really like they've been through hell. This is that beginning of when you're trying to exercise with type 1. You're like, what the hell is going on? I'm trying to do good things for my body, but it seems to be killing me.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. Mine would
maybe
be
a picture of Gary Busey. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, don't even get us like
Gary Busey's mugshot. Yeah.
Gary Busey's is one of my favorites. Mine would be with that girl that is looking at the camera, side-eyeing it with the house on fire behind it, and she's looking at the camera. It would be like, oh, so you thought you were going to exercise today, huh? Yeah. Plans. All right. Would you rather run a 5K with no lows, but you're at 300 blood sugar the whole time? Or would you rather go low 3 times, but you finish your dream PR? Oh, that's our timer. You can answer that one.
I would definitely do the 5K at 300. I've had to run 7 miles at 300 in the Burlington City Marathon relay. As I left my insulin in the car. I thought I had it all figured out. I did not anticipate the adrenaline of just the big event.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so my blood sugar started spiking and I had no time to get, marathons there's so many people. I had no time to get back to the car and take a bolus. So I just had to go for it. And I ran with my blood sugar in the high 200s for 7 miles in quite healthy heat as well.
That
is not my favorite.
So I could feel that. I could literally feel that in my muscles. For me, when I'm high and I'm exercising, feel it across the top of my back muscles and my legs. It's just like, that's the indicator. I know without even looking at my CGM, I'm like, liver is dumping.
I feel it in my breathing. I feel it, the guilt in my head, and I feel it in my breathing. I feel like I can't breathe as clearly.
All right. If you can tell people like one parting thought here as we wrap this up, what would you tell them about exercising with type 1?
I'd say in general, type 1 diabetes sucks. It's a lot of work, but you don't have a choice. So rally up, change your attitude, figure it out one day at a time, and do the best you can, and give yourself a high five no matter what happens.
Yeah, it's like, I don't think we give ourselves enough credit for actually exercising with type 1. We only beat ourselves up at, well, I can't do this or I can't do that. I can't do. What are you comparing yourself to? Like, just
we don't give ourselves enough credit just for showing up. It's so hard. It's so hard. Don't get me started on the other 5 hormones we don't regulate properly. You're doing so much, and nobody has given you all the tools you even need to do it as well as they want you to do it. So lighten up on yourself. Make it a little game every day instead of the SATs.
I feel like everybody knows you. If they don't, where have they been? But like, where can they find you? Where can they find your books? How do they connect with you?
Diabetes Nerd on YouTube, diabetesnerd.com. You can find all my books. gingervieira.t1d on Instagram, Ginger Vieira, other places. Somebody's already got the Diabetes Nerd Instagram, Neil. They haven't used it in 12 years. And they don't respond because they're long gone. How cool is that?
Any lawyers who are listening to this right now, that we can come to the rescue of Ginger. We need to get Diabetes Nerd on Instagram for Ginger. All right. Your book, Exercise with T1D, is one of my favorites. I read it a couple of years ago, and it is literally, it's the textbook for me. And I know that technology will change, but it's the mindset that you talk about in that book that just helped me tremendously, of treat it like an experiment. Be proud of the fact that you're showing up, and just understand that the deck is already stacked against you. Stop beating yourself up. Like, it's just too much to deal with. So Ginger, I freaking appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're the best. Now, this episode is part of our July movement series, Movement with Type 1 Diabetes. If you haven't listened yet to the rest of them, go back to episode 60 and start from there. You're going to feel seen, you're going to feel encouraged, and you're going to be ready to take that next step. Remember, you are not doing a bad job. You are doing a difficult job, and there is a difference. I'll see you guys on Wednesday for our next episode.